Have you ever caught yourself reacting in a way that felt way bigger than the situation? For example, you're in a meeting, someone says something, and automatically your chest starts hurting. You might be even angry, and you look around and no one is reacting the exact way you're reacting, and you're wondering, why me? That is not random. That is what we call a trigger. And today, we're going to talk about why it happens and what it is really trying to tell you. Triggers are not random mood swings. A trigger is when a word, behavior, or memory sparks an emotional reaction that feels way bigger than the moment in front of you. And most times, it's not about now, it's about before. It's about old wounds, unmet needs, and experiences that were never fully healed. Think of it as a bruise. If someone barely touches it, it still hurts. Not because of the wound, but because of the injury lying underneath. That is how emotional triggers work. They are reminders of the wounds we carry. Here's the thing, if we don't recognize our triggers, they end up running the show. They shape how we react, how we communicate, and even how we see ourselves. When you're triggered, your brain switches into survival mode. Logic takes the back seat, and your emotions take over. That's why you snap, shut down, and say things you later regret. But once you start noticing your triggers, you take back your power. You stop reacting blindly and start responding with awareness. And that shift alone can change your relationships, your confidence, and the way you show up in life. This is where it gets interesting. Triggers aren't just about surface situations. They are pointing to something deeper, a need that hasn't been met. For example, if criticism crushes you, maybe what you really need is validation or respect. If being ignored makes you furious, maybe what you need is to feel heard. If rejection feels unbearable, maybe what you're craving is belonging. Now, let me give you a real life example. So, growing up, I had this auntie of mine that always dismissed me whenever I said something. Like, there is nothing I would say, she would believe me. Anything I say, it always feels or sounds like a lie to her. So I was this kid that even if I know the answer to a question in class, I would keep quiet and bottle it up because I felt that, okay, there is nothing I'm going to say that is going to be good enough. But now, as an adult, I one day realized that I became so sensitive, especially to corrections, because I feel like you're trying to shut me up. You do not want me to express myself. On the surface, it feels like an overreaction, but really it was years of silence showing up at that particular moment. That's the thing about triggers. They are not random outbursts. They are clues, your emotions saying, I need something here. So how do you know when it's happening? Here are some common signs. First, your emotions feels way bigger than the situation. Second, you find yourself acting out of character. You're snapping, shutting down, and over-explaining. Thirdly, you replay the situation in your head long after it's over. This one is for overthinkers. Fourthly, your body gives it away. Fast heartbeats, sweaty palms, tight chest, shaky hands. Or maybe you shut down completely, going quiet, numb, or wanting to disappear. So now you know the signs. How do you actually figure out what your triggers are? Here's a simple process to help you connect the dots. 1. Journaling. When you catch yourself triggered, or even right after, write down what happened, how you felt, and ask, what did I need in that moment that I didn't get? 2. Look for patterns. Do the same kind of situations keep coming up? Feeling dismissed or feeling left out? Those are not patterns. They are clues. 3. Use the fill in the gap method. When I feel dash, what I really need is dash. For example, when I feel dismissed, what I really need is to be heard. To make this easier, use the journaling prompts in today's exercise. So what happens when you've identified them? The next step is learning how to manage them in real time. 1. Notice it. The moment you begin to feel the reaction rise up, name it. Okay, I'm feeling a bit triggered right now. Just calling it out gives you a bit of space between you and the reaction. 2. Pause and breathe. Take a few deep breaths before responding. It gives your brain time to shift out of survival mode. 3. Communicate your needs. Once you're calm, express what you actually need. For example, instead of replying impulsively when you feel ignored, you could say, I'd like to finish my thought process before we move on. It's not easy, especially if you've carried deep wounds for years. But each time you notice, pause and respond differently. You're teaching your brain new ways to handle that trigger. Here is something to remember. No one, absolutely no one, can trigger you without your consent. Yes, people can push buttons, but the buttons would only work if there is something unhealed inside of you. So instead of blaming others, use your triggers as a guide for growth. Ask yourself, what are my red flags? What are my green flags? Why do certain behaviors put me off? Because the more you learn about your triggers, the more self-aware you become. And the more self-aware you are, the freer you are to live on your own terms. Here's your exercise for today. 1. Write down your top 3 triggers. Real situation where you felt your reaction was way bigger than what was happening. 2. For each one, ask, what's the unmet needs underneath this? 3. Complete the sentence. When I feel dash, what I really need is dash. And don't forget, you'll find today's workbook linked below. It will guide you step by step through this reflection. Triggers don't have to control you. They can actually teach you. They can guide you to your needs, your patterns, and your growth. In the next video, we are going to talk about journaling and how writing your story can help you heal. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. If today resonated with you, send this to someone who needs it. And don't forget to subscribe and follow Finding Lost Voices on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And remember, you can also access this episode on Spotify. Together, we are reclaiming voices one at a time. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.